Yeah, we don't. He could have a little bit of sidewall damage there to the car that could be affecting his aerodynamics just a little bit. But here comes Doug thinking about a move to the outside, going down into the chicane. He's going to have to be very brave to do it, and pulls it off. Oh, you can't get a whole lot closer than that. My goodness gracious.
Let's take a look at this from the hood, because this is where Partridge needs to change his pants, and Kinchler probably does too after he saw what happened in his mirrors. But Partridge comes in too hot, clips that inside curve, gets unsettled, then he's on the brakes. We're going to go in slow-mo here to see how close it was, and it was very close.
Yeah, the top three have been an incredible fight. Oh man.
Gently does it, boys, as they make their way down. They bang wheels. Oh, Sebastian Tixier, he goes tumbling over. Trengarade going off the circuit. Goodness gracious, looked like Jim Shedlick went off the track in sympathy there.
This is the view that he has going through. He sees a couple lights in the distance, trying to get it rejoined.
Oh, that's not good. Careful, boys, careful. Too wide coming up, Eau Rouge. And the loser there is going to be Vaughn, as Karthik Pai keeps his foot in it. Vaughn going to lose another position there to Mika Lino, and Lino going to go for a 2-for-1 as they come down the Camel Straight. He has got such massive overspeed. Look at that move from the number 5 machine.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing. And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Well, if you've seen Alice in Wonderland, you will know of the Cheshire Cat. This, the Cheshire Cat of all of British motor racing circuits. This is a beautiful place to go and race, and it is going to be tactical today around the Oulton Park Circuit International. It's a 17-turn, 4.33 kilometer international layout, and for all intents and purposes, when you put in the most stock standard car that iRacing has in its service, this is going to be where great racing comes to life. Welcome to your Sunday Drivers MX5 Cup, and it is here with us on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. I'm Jake Sperry, DJ Clark, along with me in the booth for the ride today. On cameras for us is Zach Johnson. He is directing them, provided by Dougie Beard. Now, before we take ourselves to what is a very, very important race in the Sunday Drivers Cup calendar, we're going to take a little bit of an understanding of what makes this Oulton Park circuit so difficult to challenge with our Global SimRacing Channel track guide.
Welcome to Oulton Park Circuit. This British track to the southeast of Liverpool is a staple in the UK club racing scene, but has also hosted series as high level as Formula One a few times. At least, with a small asterisk next to those events since they were non-championship rounds. The history and the lore of the venue is as unique as the layout itself. But that layout is more than just the international circuit this place is known for. An incredible 8 different versions can be run, but they all range between 1.5 to 2.5 miles in length. It's not exactly a long lap around here. What it lacks in that realm, it more than makes up for in bumps and hills. On top of that, Oulton Park offers some very fast corners, so you certainly won't get bored. Turns like Island Bend, Knickerbrook, and Druids can be utterly fearsome depending on which chicanes are at it. But even the slower corners often involve blind crests or kinked entries, making passing a very difficult prospect. In modern day, the place is mainly visited by touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and Formula 3. But here on iRacing, it's quite popular with the vintage community. Needless to say, this is a track that carries on the British tradition of fast, old-school style circuits that challenge and thrill drivers. It'll no doubt be a blast for both our competitors and fans today.
So that's an understanding of what makes Oulton Park such a challenging circuit to go out there and drive an FIA Grade 3 category track, and one of the keys of a British calendar, which of course this track has held much racing when it has come to the likes of the British Touring Car Championship. But DJ, what is it about this track in terms of overtaking opportunities? They're going to be few and far between today. And where do you see the real challenges and the nuances of this circuit coming to life over 14 laps today?
Well, really and truly here, Jake, it's all going to be about carrying momentum through these corners and trying to blunt the momentum as much as possible to prevent yourselves running wide. Looking specifically at the first couple of runs here through Old Hall and down into Cascades, definitely areas where we've seen overtakes get made in these MX-5s, but it certainly is difficult. Shell Oil's corner looks like it should be a pretty good overtaking opportunity, but the cambering on the track there actually tends to lean itself a little bit not. Then we get into the back part of the track here into the chicanes of Britons and Hislops. Really and truly a one-way street through there, very, very narrow. If you run a little bit wide, you'll fall very easily foul of the tire barriers. Then it's all about just carrying the momentum through Knickerbrook into Druids, up into Lodge and Deerleap, and to get another lap here, it's all about just feeling the roll of the car and not exceeding any of those track limits.
Those track limits are notorious here around Oulton Park for being very, very difficult, and drivers today will have to navigate not so much around them because there is no instant limit here in this Sunday Drivers' Cup Series. Of course, league racing as it is, drivers have different rules that they go through each time. But let's talk about the championship and how that stacks up at this moment here, and it has been a very, very strong display so far at the top of the drivers' standings by Tom Daly. The Irishman has 277 points and is clear by 48, so a really strong margin ahead of Kalle Kavisto in second position. Stefan Olderding is third place right now with the Jordanin Svetinov back there in fourth position. Watch out as well for the pace of Xabi Lopez in fifth. It's a really strong battle with himself and Michael Elliott, who is in sixth position. Stephen Orrell is currently seventh, just ahead of Sandavara in eighth position with a 2-point margin over Victor Oliveira, and Nuno Souza rounds out the top 10, 157 points behind. DJ, you had a little look earlier today at a very, very enthralling teams championship.
Yes, it is absolutely tied up at the top between Positive Delta Motorsports and Wampy Motorsports, both sitting with 289 points. iRacing Netherlands a little bit far back there, 33 points, but that is still easily closed downable here in the later half of the season. Spirit 14 Racing a little bit farther back there, but certainly in the mix. And we move down into fifth place with Kinda Sus Racing, holding about a 20-point lead over Simtech Racing. TGR, though, very, very close behind them, as is GIF Racing, as they continue to run. 2G Parts and Equipment Racing not too far back from them, and only 3 points back is Dairy is Scary Racing. So a good battle starting to shape it up for those top spots, as well as 5th through 10th.
Yeah, some people do wonder whether they say it's GIF Racing or GIF Racing. There's always going to be a debate for that. Nations Cup, though, Ireland on top of that. No surprises with Tom Daly driving so well. 174 points and clear by 26 over a very strong Finnish contingent who find themselves in second position. The Netherlands are third with the United Kingdom in fourth position. So that means that the top of Ireland is fourth, but Ireland itself is first. Spain then is in fifth with South Africa sixth. Bulgaria in 7th is just 88 points behind and just 8 points, or 10 points you should say, splitting 5th from 7th. Portugal are back in 8th, and they're in a scrap with Brazil, who find themselves 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is the United States of America, as they find themselves 122 points off the pace. Qualifying, though, has been getting itself underway and going. It is a 15-minute qualifying session, but before that, let's talk about some of the details here, DJ, of this race. Round 11 of 20, we are over the halfway stage and on the road to home.
Yes, we are, and as always, it is a lap count race around here, so we'll have 14 laps around this Oulton Park International Circuit and a fixed setup for all drivers, so the only difference you're going to be seeing is those drivers behind the wheel of their sim rigs. A couple of bonus points are available out there for pole, for fastest lap, and for the hardest charger, so those are going to be two things to keep an eye on, especially with as close as we've seen some of those championships running. I think drivers are going to have to try to see if they can be able to sneak away a couple of bonus points, and that could be what makes the difference in this championship.
Oh, it absolutely could. And today around Oulton Park, I think fastest lap bonus points are going to be really crucial just to keep in mind. As we said, qualifying is underway. They've got about 7 minutes left in this 15-minute session. And crucially, DJ, it's an open qualifying session, which means when the checkered flag does drop here at Oulton Park for the end of signaled qualifying, it is going to mean that we are going to see those laps be able to be completed.
Yes, it will, and I think also crucially, as compared to some of the other tracks that we've run on this season, the draft is not necessarily going to be as helpful here for drivers during this open qualifying session. I think you want to really find yourself out here in some clean air, not be having to check yourself up from the drivers in front of you, and so that's going to change the character of this qualifying session a little bit.
This is a very, very quirky circuit in the sense that every time you are looking to try and drop through a corner, there's another one that immediately follows. And Tom Daly, who's currently on top of the boards and we are looking at now in the 1P Motorsport car, is going to need a little bit of help to get by Timo Paya there, the Finnish driver, running into the Britain chicane. Had to get out of line there. Couldn't take the natural, aggressive left of the chicane before jumping through the right and up over the hilltop before descending down to the Hislop chicane and Knickerbrook corner, which in this variation of the track, DJ, I think is an underrated challenge because it becomes a 90-degree right-hand bend, which does crest up the hill on the exit when you want to put the power down.
Very much so, and you just saw Daly take it there. You see just the amount of steering lock you really have to put into the car to get it all the way over to the left there before setting up for Knickerbrook to be able to carry that momentum up the hill like I talked about. A lot of weight transfer on the lateral side of these cars, and that's something that drivers really have to contend with. The cars want to keep that lateral momentum going along, and so you've got to fight it a little bit and be very, very careful with throttle application. Very easy to pick up some understeer on the exit of those corners.
Yeah, 24 drivers here today, all looking to try and set those times. And over the line will come Tom Daly. It's an early line here, and it's a 53.5, so unable really to improve. But saying that, over on the times, Jordan Svetanov has moved up into 5th fastest with his time, a 53.4, and the other 1P car then makes a drive forward for it, and it looks like that was a pretty decent time for Brett Ride, a 54.6, good enough to be in 12th fastest at this point. But let's talk about the MX-5 for a moment, because it's been around in many different guises here on iRacing for forever and a day, and is the sort of car, DJ, that when you talk about understanding iRacing, pretty much anyone who wants a road license on iRacing, as there's a big spin for one of the Spirit 14 cars there coming through the hairpin, as I believe we're on board with the Jordan Svetanov right now. One of the keys to this car is really the fact that everyone's had a chance to run with this machine, and everyone sort of should understand what this car's racing style is like the back of their hand.
Yeah, this is one of the cars that you immediately get into when you go into the rookie class here on iRacing. It is very much the learner car, the foundation of your learning of road racing, as we see Javi Lopez there being able to set the fastest time out on the board. And so it really becomes one of those cars that you get incredibly familiar with, but there's still so much to unlock. Because there's not a lot of horsepower here in these machines, it all comes down to driver input. You can't lean lean on downforce. You can't really lean on traction control or anything like that to save you out of a situation. It is all you and the road.
Kalle Kavisto goes fastest. First drive to break the 52s, a 52.8 through the final Lodge corner. And now up the dearly to finish a lap goes Yordanin Svetinov at this point in time. 6th fastest currently, and over the line a 53.9, so definitely not quick enough on that lap time to jump up and find a position. And one of the keys now is how you deal with the elevation changes around this track. There is Xavi Lopez right now, 0.3 of a second down. What will be really frustrating for Xavi Lopez is seeing that number 1 go next to his name as he's fastest. He actually does slightly miss the apex though at the first of the 2 hip slop corners of the Hislop chicanes, and that will pretty much mitigate all of that run through Knickerbrook and up through the Clay Hill and the Water Tower. How crucial is it, DJ, to be dealing with momentum and making sure you're hitting every apex properly, knowing that pretty much every corner feeds into every next corner, as must get this corner correct?
It's absolutely crucial. Really, the only place on the track that you're going to have a real blunt in the momentum is, frankly, going down into Shell Oil's corner. And even then, you're still carrying a lot of momentum around there. You just have to keep it up the entire lap around, as if you get off just a little bit, not only is that going to compromise you and your line for the upcoming corner, but you are going to be a couple of miles an hour down on speed. And so you are going to find yourself lacking for the entire lap. You've got to absolutely get every corner of this track right to get a good lap together.
And Kavisto goes even quicker. 52.7 means now that gap is 3 3/4 of a second as he drops into the Cascades and looks to try and get that run effectively through the cat's tail of the circuit along towards the island bend and over around forward. It's worth noting that the track conditions right now are fixed at this point. Most series now run a dynamic system, but still a fixed system for the Sunday Drivers' Cup, DJ. It is 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 degrees C air temp, 81 degrees track temperature. And what is worth noting right now is that they've set the time for 7:40 in the morning on a Sunday. 2 things: 1, by curfew, they will never run before 9 o'clock in the they never run before 8:30 in the morning, and 2, they never run on a Sunday here.
Well, there you go. A little bit of inside knowledge coming at us. But yeah, in terms of those conditions, it's going to be pretty much ideal running for these cars. You're going to have a little bit of cold tire syndrome, I think, going down into Old Hall on the first lap, as we do have a standing start around here. And so we may have to watch out for a little bit of understeer being picked up from the tires there. But with 81 degrees Fahrenheit, by the time we get through Cascades and into Island Bend, tires are going to be in a good temperature window, and you're not going to have to worry too much about them overheating due to an overly hot track surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with this track not necessarily going to be getting too hot, drivers now know that they are dealing with these conditions. And I'd say for iRacing, these are ideal conditions, that they've got a cool track as they go through. Checkered flag then is going to come out, and Xavi Lopez is the first driver over the line. His lap time will not count, and as such, he will not improve. Will Kalle Kavisto, by comparison, no. So that is trouble in that sense. We are looking at Brett Ride right now making his breaks over at Hislop chicane, moving towards Knickerbrook, and he is certainly searching for that time. And those tire bundles there at the Hislop chicane, they really do stare out at you, DJ.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they are very solid here on the iRacing service. If you hit into those tire bundles, it is going to be a world of hurt for these MX-5s, so drivers have to be very careful. As I said, really a one-way street through both Britons and Hislops. If you get too wide through there, it has disastrous consequences.
Under then the Warwick Bridge, which is the main entrance to the circuit. You go up and over the bridge and into the main paddock area, and through Lodge Corner. Brett Ride down and up then on the circuit, searching for a lap time here that does improve. 54.6, the best so far. That's a 54.9, so no chance there of that one going. One driver who could improve is Stefan Alderding in the 51 machine, is in 7th position right now, dropping down. Michael Ellitt's just gone 8th fastest on a 53.7, but Alderding then will drive to the line, and it's a 53.718, just fractionally slower out there on track. The last 2 drivers who can set a time are James Austin right now in the number 24 car, and also Bart Verkerk in the number 40. So for James Austin then, will try and make a drive over towards the line. Currently 54.3, his best time. That was a 54.4, so was just fractionally slower to getting a time. And then finally, Bart Verkerk will make the run, hoping that time will work, but will take the dive over to the right into the pits, where drivers today will certainly be hoping that they will not have to do that. Barney, the flagman there, furiously waving the checkered flag to say that the session is all done with. But that will be how everyone is finishing up then. So that will give us an opportunity to run ourselves then to the starting grid and get ourselves a bit of understanding of where everyone is. Kalle Kavisto, a 152.754, head and shoulders above the field in qualifying. He'll have Xabi Lopez for company in second position. Tom Daly, the championship leader, can only manage third position on the grid, but will have Sander Vara along for company in fourth. Stephen Orrell and a Jordanin Svetinov will be fifth and sixth, with Stefan Olderding in seventh position, and Michael Ellett late on in qualifying, jumping up into eighth. Great qualifying as well for Bruno Albino. He starts from ninth position, and Willem van Rassel rounds out the top 10 even, I should say here, DJ.
Starting off in 11th place, it's going to be James Austin, followed by Pedro Merriman with Tim Lancaster and Brett Ride in row 7. Alvaro Rodriguez will be 15th, followed by Victor Oliveira with Peter Reed and Kalle Rantanen in 18th. 19th is Martin Smith, and Sven Dalmans will round out your top 20.
The final four drivers then, Timo Paya in 21st, Bart Verkerk then with a 156.1 is in 22nd, and that just leaves Arturo Davila, the last set time on a 157.589, and David Mitchell in the 69 car, unable to set a representative lap time, but will be able to start then from the back of the grid. There is the East Gate out there on circuit, which leads to the left-hand side of the track. But there are the drivers as they sit ready. They've got 2 minutes to get themselves gridded up, or they can start from a place known as pit lane, which effectively means they start from the back of the grid and give themselves that opportunity to charge through as many places as possible. 14 laps does seem like not very much for a series like this, but they're expected to be very technical, very difficult laps where overtaking will be at a premium. I was calling one of the Porsche Sprint Challenge races over the course of yesterday's action at Oulton Park, and it took till the last lap for the lead categories in both Pro and Am to change in that race. So it could be very similar here today at Oulton Park in the virtual sense. So they will have themselves this little last section of calm to get themselves ready before they run forward, just waiting then on one driver to grid up. That is Bart Verkerk, who will take all his time in the number 40, use all of his 2 minutes to get ready. Of course, they are on a fixed setup, so there's nothing really setup-wise that they can change, but with everybody on the grid, let's get ourselves ready. Lights are on, and the light are out. Let's get racing here at Oulton Park. Is a lot of wheel spin off the line then for Xabi Lopez, and he'll be immediately under pressure heading to Old Hall Corner here from Tom Daly, who will have to try and go the long way around on the outside, and they immediately make contact. Lopez shuts the door quite nicely on it though, and they are through. All 24 drivers make it through safely through the opening corner, so they run down the avenue into the Cascades for the first time. Xabi Lopez holds on, and a great scrap for fourth position as well now, with Sander Vara under pressure from Stephen Orrell, but here comes Tom Daly to the inside.
He's been able to get a great run of speed there, starting off on it. He's going to be down to the inside, going through Island Bend, making that move look easy. That is going to be Tom Daly up into second as they dive into Shell Oils. A little bit more side-by-side action back in the field.
Yeah, Jordanin Svetinov trying to go around the outside of Stephen Orrell, but Orrell having absolutely none of it as they charge through, and all the way back now as they head through the Britain chicane for the first time. The fast flick left into the right, and this is where they need to be single file working through. There's trouble in the background then around Sven Dalmans out there on circuit, trying to work out who it is. It's Willem van Rassel who is around, but they're fighting for fourth position here as they run in for the first time into the Hislop chicane, and then Knickerbrook that follows immediately afterwards. Leader here of Kalle Kavisto has checked out. It's a huge train behind Sander Vara at the moment.
Yes, it is a massive, massive train there with Oral, Svetnov, Alderding, Albino, and Ellett all running in a line. But the top three really starting to get some good distance there. Tom Daly being able to pull a gap of about a second over Lopez as they run. He's going to be hoping to close that gap to Cali Cavisto. Does not want to let his title rival out of his sights.
I wonder if we can get a replay at the end of this first lap on Dallerman's out there on circuit. There was a case here that the track was almost jammed as they went through the Hislop chicane, and those tyre bundles that we were talking about being so difficult. Svetinov then having to really scrap then, as now Stefan Alderding will look to the inside at the Old Hall corner, try and pick off that move, and will manage so here on lap 2. And Oral gets a really good run here through towards Denton's corner, this small flick right which leads to the Cascades left. He's on the wrong side of the road for it, but ultimately cannot manage to make that move. So I wonder if we can get that replay of Sven Dallermans in the not too distant future, DJ. But ultimately now, as we get this right now, this is how difficult racing can be here at Oulton Park.
Yeah, it goes down into the corner, and just a little bit of contact there going in, and that little bit of contact right into that tire barrier, as we said. Very, very solid there for the 19. Absolutely nowhere to go, and you could see just the minor impact there up ahead of him, and that was enough to be able to upset that bumper, and then contact there with the 16 of Peter Reed, and both of them taking a one-way ticket to the pits.
Yeah, and crucially, how important is it, DJ, when you've got yourself iRacing's new damage model here on these Miatas?
It's very, very crucial, as you get a lot of different effect on the cars. We get a little bit of side-by-side there between Oral and Ware, trying to sort it out going down through Hislops.
Yeah, Sandavara doing really, really well there to get that done. Stephen Oral's everywhere, and look at how it's checked up the field. Alderding, Svetinov, Albino, Austin's in there, Marimon, Lancaster, Ellett, Brett Rye trying to hold on to the back of it. Got a bit of side-by-side and heading to Druids, probably the most difficult corner on the circuit, and James Austin will lose out the place to Bruno Albino, who was so aggressive through that section of track. Now Austin's under pressure from Pedro Marimon, who is trying to find himself a way through, and almost 3 wide they head to the lodge on the brakes. Who's the latest of the breakers? How late did James Austin want to be? He almost took the wing mirror clean off of Bruno Albino's car as he almost went by.
Yes, he did. A little bit of side-to-side contact there as these drivers continue to fan out. Now, I don't know how long this battle is going to go before we see it end in tears, as there's a little bit of a how you do there from behind on, I believe that's Oral coming up behind Sandavara, as more off in the back.
More off in the back as well. Contact, there it goes. Big issue. It's going to come straight back across the circuit. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars all getting caught up in that. A massive accident then for Bruno Albino and co. And that for Sandavara was not the plan. Just tried to go through Denton's, effectively getting turned on the rear quarter panel. No way to stop it in that grass. And a heavy, heavy hit through the Cascades.
And as you said, coming across the track there, nowhere for him to go. He was a hapless passenger on that whole run. As we watch the 64 there having massive, massive problems. That is Albino, as he is, I think, effectively going to be out of this race with that front end damage, and indeed takes the tow back to the pits.
Well, there's unlimited fast repairs in this series, so we'll be able to get back out and racing again. But a massive accident then on lap 3, and you had a sense that they were really racing great with each other, but there was going to be a moment where someone was going to have to yield, and it's that small hook once again, just carrying too much speed with the minimal slipstream that's there, and bang! There is nothing you can do to stop that.
No, there really isn't. And also with Albino and those drivers coming up behind, there is nothing you can do to really avoid that kind of incident. We talked about the momentum you've got to carry through those corners. Tries to get down to the inside, but just nowhere to go.
Pick a lane, and ultimately there was no lane to take there for Bruno Albino, and that's a real shame because he had driven so well in qualifying to get himself up in the order, and he deserved a lot of help. But the lead battle is closing. Cali Cavisto 152.6 as he crossed. Behind him though, Tom Daly a 152.3. Mistake there from Austin has opened the door up as Pedro Marimon finds a way through, and there's trouble. That's a huge trouble. Oliveira's off, Mitchell's off as well, and it looks like someone else has been caught. Tim Lancaster's in it, and it's still happening then as they go off the exit. 4 and 5 cars there. Willem van Rassel gets caught up in it, as well as the spinner of Bart Verkerk.
Absolute calamity there coming through Lodge Corner. I think there was just a little bit of contact there between two cars spinning out, and then again, like we saw going down into Cascades, a little bit of the domino effect just continuing on. Oulton is a very, very narrow circuit. You're not able to get as clear as you think, as we got a little bit of side-by-side talk about aggressive moves from a Jordan Svetnov.
Jordan Svetanov's not done, though, here, because Stephen Orr was trying to get back underneath, trying to take it away at the Shell Oils corner, and that was a really, really nice move from Svetanov. Had to be aggressive with it and managed it, then going through the Britain chicane, all kicking off. But one of the things about the Lodge corner, which is really difficult, is when you put the power down, track descends, so you easily spin to the inside. And when you're right down at the very bottom of that section of the track, DJ, when you're turning in for the corner, you are blind at that section to what's down in the bottom.
Yeah, completely and totally blind there, and you have just got to have faith as you are able to get it around there. And again, just want to give that massive credit to Svetnov, almost on the edge of control, losing it. As we take a look back here, this is coming up on that incident. This is what started everything. The 13 and the 18. Is that, oh, no, looks like there was a spinner off in front, and that's the first part of the dominoes there to fall.
Yeah, the 13 ending up an innocent bystander in that issue. So this was a case really of Mitchell trying to get to the inside, and he was never really alongside there with the number 73 of Tim Lancaster, and Lancaster trying to get that back going again, finds himself out in the road, and ultimately dramas continue because Van Rassel gets caught in the rejoin trying to look for the inside, and effectively Bart Verkerk wasn't alert to it and just ran straight up into the back, getting involved in someone else's incident. We have to go back live though, because they're side by side for the race lead. Kalle Kavisto out of the Cascades. The inside will go to Tom Daly here at the Island Bend. Here, this small flick left, and Tom Daly for the first time then takes the race lead, and that's what he's done so well all season long, finding the race lead when it matters here. Lap 5 of 14.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible race pace out of the 67 of Tom Daly, really since the drop of the green flag in Daytona. And it looks specifically like he has got massive amounts of speed coming through that first sector. Remember, that is how he was able to get the move done on Lopez as well earlier on. It looks like through Old Hall and Cascades, he has just got this fix set up, hooked up, and he knows what the car's feeling.
Yeah, he knows what it's feeling and he knows what to do. Now, Stephen Orrell's just had a big moment, actually, just coming out then of the Britain chicane, so he's really dropped back from a Jordan Svetanov at this point in time. But the 1P Motorsports car is doing exactly what is needed at the front of this field. Score big points, and most of their team's championship points right now have come off of the back of the number 67 Irishman of Tom Daly. He has been lightning in a bottle when it has come to racing so far this season.
Yeah, he has, looking nearly untouchable here, but he is going to have a little bit of a problem from our reigning champion, Kalle Kavisto, as it looks like here the Kavisto is just doing a good job being able to keep up behind him. I'm going to be interested to see what this gap looks like coming into Shell Oils on this next lap, if he's able to get a little bit of a breakaway or if Calle's going to be keeping him honest.
Well, for the first time, Kalle Kavisto can actually look and see where the lines Tom Daly is taking, how aggressive he's choosing to be around this circuit, around this track. And now for the first time through Denton's, really trying to open up Denton's is Tom Daly, which gives him that line through the Cascades, trying to really maximize the exit as much as possible. Kavisto doing really well, has been in and around in iRacing for a number of years as Kalle. He's been part of the framework, so to speak, as he's been going around and racing. But now as he tries to figure out a move, there is a defensive line half taken then by Tom Daly. But the crucial matter of fact here, DJ, is that they've built up a 6-second margin, which is now 5.2 seconds at this point. So they're starting to fight. They're starting to allow that gap to come back to them. But knowing the fact that their race right now is all about those two drivers, they don't have to worry about behind. Another great scrap going on for 6th position. Pedro Marimon, James Austin, and Michael Ellitz found a way back on.
Yeah, and as a driver, when you have that big 5-6 second advantage, that's going to allow you to be a little bit more aggressive. Specifically, if you are in Kalle Kavisto, he'll be able to take a little bit more lunges this way and that, and Daly's not going to be nearly as afraid to take a defensive line into the corner, knowing that they've got that buffer behind them to be able to fight in and amongst themselves.
Yeah, the battle is still continuing on as they head then through the Knickerbrook section. This right-hander and a bit of a slide there for James Austin as he tries to attack off of the exit. And a lot of drivers do have a different driving style, DJ, and that becomes very crucial to how you work with a fixed setup, because for some drivers, they're just going to click with it and it's going to work. But it's also worth noting that a fixed setup in a machine like this, we don't expect many changes, but each iRacing build that comes along changes it. Here comes Michael Elliott with a little think as they run under the Warwick Bridge towards Lodge Corner. But now, all of a sudden, the best defense is a good offense. James Austin trying to get aggressive here with Pedro Marimon.
Yep, trying to send a move here as they go up and over Deer Leap. That may set him up to the inside of Old Hall, but he's going to be a little bit far back. He's got to watch out, though. Michael Elliott lurking right there behind, as that's a big send for the 24. Great on the binders and a good carry of momentum through the first corner.
I think Marimon was trying to go up and under, but wasn't expecting such a slingshot of a run from James Austin. He absolutely rip-roared through and tried to get himself into position. So wonderfully done by James Austin. The move up to 6th, but as is tradition with Oulton Park, a move is never, ever truly quite complete, because there is a great drive coming through and a little shot to the back bumper on the run to Shell Oils to say, I absolutely had the pace behind you, but James Austin has that covered, and the move stays as is then for the time being out on track. So some great racing going on, and as well, it is still on for that race lead. But I think Kavisto now is just taking some time to scout his opposition, see where he's strong, see where he's weak, and then pick and choose the moment to go to the front of the field.
Fully agree with you there, Jake. I think that's exactly what he's doing. We mentioned it a little bit earlier about Tom Daly's sort of meteoric rise up through the field there, starting in 3rd place, being able to get everything in the position that Kavisto is in right now, is he's going to be able to just figure out the weaknesses of Daly, try to find a line that he can be able to exploit a little bit. And if I'm Tom Daly in that position, I'm actually going to run a little bit counter to what I want to do. I'm going to try to throw some lines that are a little bit unexpected to keep Kyle Kavisto on his toes.
Yeah, we're just getting word that Victor Oliveira a couple of laps ago found himself in troubles. He buried himself in the tyres at Hislop and took the toe back out, so that's why he's in trouble. But your leaders right now are driving absolutely wonderfully at this point, and they've just taken a couple of laps here just to follow and scout, and really it's such a late dip in around that Cascades corner that you are just committed to that turn, and it goes on and on and on as you challenge through. But because they haven't been fighting side by side around this circuit, DJ, they've actually pulled that gap back out again to Chabi Lopez. Their gap now 7 seconds, and Lopez himself is under pressure now from Jordan and Svetanov.
Yeah, and Svetanov doing a good job to be able to claw his way up through the field right now. He's also up 2 positions, as there you see that battle on your screen going through Shell Oils. And Jordan, who was able to take his first victory of this season a couple of races ago, maybe looking to be able to steal a podium away here from Lopez. Now, these two, they have about 6 seconds and change back to Stephen Orrell in 5th place. So they're going to be able to battle pretty hard in the 7 laps to go that are still left in this race.
Speaking of battling hard, I think Michael Elliott's trying to find a position right now in the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th positions. No changes from those for the time being, just in front with Lopez and Svetanov. But Elliott is trying to find that angle, is trying to open it up. The South African against the Spaniard on the brakes, but Marimon is so committed under braking down the hill, and that's one of the things down the hill that often does catch drivers out, the fact that you need to brake a lot earlier for a corner like that because gravity's working against you and the braking power effectively is weakened.
Yes, it is, and it's very common to see some front braking locking up there going down the hill, as you said. But if you're able to just get that fine line right, you can really gain some good time like we saw Marimon do there. So we've got a little bit of side-by-side here up for the lead.
For the lead then, Tom Daly covers it off at Old Hall Corner. It's one of the best places to get a move done is into turn number 1. But Kavisto will happily sit behind, will happily search for the right angle here to go and make that happen. And again, out of the Cascades, a car length for Tom Daly gives himself that margin. Behind that as well, Lopez and Svetanov fighting for 3rd and for 4th positions. They will both be pretty happy with where they have been in this one, but you can see already just some of the dirt that's being kicked up onto that inside of the island corner because everyone is trying to be so aggressive with this track.
Yeah, there is literally no room for error here as drivers continue to try to push their good dime into the corner there for Lopez, as we see Svetnov trying to close in behind, keep that battle nice and close over the halfway point here in the race. So I think gloves are going to start coming off here a little bit more for this battle for first, for this battle for third as we get into the dying stages.
Gloves off, knuckle dusters on. We're here for a fight, and we've got two brilliant fights for first and for third at this point in time. We've also got a great fight for sixth because Pedro Marimon is all over James Austin here, and right up to the inside goes Austin. Tries to just shufty over to the left-hand side, to the middle left of the circuit, completely covers off the run through the first part of the Hislop chicane, through the seconds okay, and really has the run because Marimon is really trying to open up Knickerbrook, but he's not going to get that as he runs up the clay hill towards the water tower and the Druids corner. Druids is such a difficult corner because it really does apex so tight, much tighter than what people expect.
Yes, it is, and there you can see that little bit of separation as both drivers had to take that unusual apex, but it does look like Marimon keeping up the pressure here. They're dropping Elliott ever so slightly to the tune of about 0.5 of a second, but if they continue to battle side by side like this, Elliott's going to get very, very excited as Marimon not having the best run there through Lodge, and he's going to lose some time down the start-finish straight.
And that will open up Michael Elliott's opportunity then to think of a move. And there is trouble in the background, or in the back at Shell Oil's corner, because that looked to me like Willem van Rassel again getting caught up then. And it was Alderding actually and Sandavara coming together. And then, teammates set it up. So ultimately, I want to see if we can get a replay on that. Alderding setting up Sandavara. And then Alderding's teammate Willem van Rassel just ran straight into him.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. Narrow track, not a lot of room for error. Let's watch this replay going down now into Shell Oils. There you can see the initial contact that goes around, and then, the 30 just blindsided there. Van Rassel coming into the corner and just clobbering the side of the 7.
Yeah, that's how easily it can go wrong. Well, here's another little look on board from it. So there's the first issue. Now, does the car move? No, just got in hot. And that was the trouble. Let's go back live to the battle for third position if we can, because there was some side-by-side between Xabi Lopez and a Jordanin Svetinov, but crucially, at one of the toughest places on the track, couldn't make the move. And now Kalle Kavisto is still hoping that he's got the right place for a pass. He still can't get there, because again, every time there seems to be a case where Kavisto is close enough to get almost alongside, he's going to try and go through. And that's Pedro Marimon there at that moment in time. Did he just go straight on over at Knickerbrook? He absolutely did. He completely missed the corner.
Yes, he did, and I think something happened there to Elliott as well, because Elliott has fallen off the back of that battle, and Marimon not losing a position as a result of it.
Yeah, I'm just looking back here for Elliott's just gone off at Britain, so that's just a small mistake then for Elliott. Let's take a little look then on the replay. So this is how easily you can go off at Britain's. He goes in, he's a little hot. He looked like he was maybe a little bit unsettled. He got the two left-hand side tyres up there, DJ, there at the first part of the chicane, which sent him offline for the second part.
Yeah, I think he may have just gotten those two tires up into the air, and that may have been what unsettled him. As we take a look here at another replay. Woo! That is the number 12 there of Marimon. You can see he just misjudged that braking zone going downhill into Hislops. We talked about how tricky that was just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, that cone absolutely went for a journey, a very similar journey to one Mick Claridge, which you can follow with us at the Global SimRacing Channel with our brand new series, Where is Mick? Make sure you catch that, of course, at any time you like over on YouTube. But at this point in time, the battle for third still raging on, and that's the 1 weak corner really that Xabi Lopez has, is the Britain chicane, and it is such a uniquely fast chicane, which makes life so difficult for that run up the hill. No real position for Svetinov to get down the inside, but Xabi Lopez, I think his best corner though is Hislop, so he covers it off.
Yeah, he does. It doesn't look like he's really losing that much time, and you can see the momentum he's able to carry there out of Hislops and through into Knickerbrook. That's helping him build that advantage here, where Svetinov may have a chance to try to overtake, try to push his way on by going down into Druids or Lodge. Lopez just able to cover that off courtesy of a good run.
And a good run, pretty much, is what is needed right now for Jordanin right now, the Bulgarian, trying to open up the move. And it's a slightly missed apex. It's middle of the road, driving from the Spirit 14 driver there of Xabi Lopez, the number 9. But the number 8 is certainly hoping for a chance to get through, but he can't see one at Old Hall Corner. So again, he has to be patient. And this is a really frustrating circuit for this, to be right on the back of a driver and not quite have that move, not have that opportunity for an overtake. It does make life difficult, but down the hill, all the way off the road, they're both going to go skittering off at the Cascades.
And that was a move that was precipitated by a little bit of contact there going into Old Hall, and it looks like Svetnov is going to be the one that gets off better from that contact, with Lopez losing time, and here comes Stephen Orrell to keep this battle alive.
Lopez was trying to shut the door off, and ultimately it was a case of you cannot shut the door there when Svetnov was always going to have an overlap. Through to the inside at the island corner goes Stephen Orrell. It will mean that Xabi Lopez will try and go around the outside, and that's not going to work. Stephen Orrell now moves up into 4th.
Yes, he does, taking advantage of others' misfortune there, but rest assured, Lopez, we've seen that pace out of that number 9 over the course of this race with about 2.5 laps to go for these two cars. I think Lopez is going to be fighting tooth and nail to get 4th place back, and indeed, as they rise over the crest here of Hilltop, he's going to go for it.
Well, he knows how important this section of track is to him, but he does lift out of it, moving through this section then of Hislops, trying to really open up a run up the Clay Hill, but out of Knickerbrook, that's the key corner. He has dropped back, though, about a good 2 car lengths, so the struggles are very much there. Elliott also getting close then to Madamon, so Madamon, who has dropped back in his own fight, had himself a bit of a battle, but the gap's still there, and 2 laps to go. Your leaders still nose to tail as they cross over the line, a gap only of 1/10 and 700ths as they go into Old Hall Corner.
A little bit of too much of entrance curb there for Tom Daly. That's going to slow him up going down into Cascades. Is this going to be the opportunity that Kali Kavisto needs? No, it looks like Daly's going to be able to cover him off there going down through the left-hander.
Yeah, but he's had to go a little bit deep to try and get that gap, so he's got no drive here on the exit. Here comes Kavisto to the outside of the island corner. He'll have the inside for Shell Oils. A little bit of a light break, and they almost lean on each other through that section. Here they go into Shell Oils as they drive by Oulton Lake, moving through on that inside. Brilliantly done. Kale Kavisto back to the point.
A little bit of rubbing there and a little bit of good maneuvering for Kali Kavisto. Sees him lead with about 1.5 laps here to go. Let's see if he's able to hold it or if Daly's able to have another lightning first sector to try to gain that lead back.
He's got a car length already, but we know that Tom Daly is mega when it comes to the back half of this circuit. He has been so good at finding that gap as they run through now the Hislop chicane towards Knickerbrook Corner and then over up the Clay Hill. It is now about maximising every exit, and Kavisto has himself 1 car length. That'll be enough for him to cover then at Druids as they go up through the left of the Clay Hill, and now it just becomes 1v1. It's hand-to-hand combat. It is mano-a-mano here, DJ.
Yes, it is, and here they come now through Druids. It looks like Daly got a little bit of a better run there. He's going to have to take a look to the outside, going to Lodge, as that's going to be Kavisto going defensive.
Neither of them want to give this up. Daly on the outside runs it a bit deep, though, and he's going to have to really use the hill then of the Deer Leap to give himself the opportunity to attack. He is behind by a little bit, but we are on the white flag lap here in iRacing, which means one thing and one thing only, 1 lap to go. Little look to the inside of Old Hall. 2 contrasting lines, both of them running off the circuit then and into the grass, trying to get as much as they can out of this track because they know how important this Cascade section is.
Yes, it is, and Daly a little bit later on the binders, but I think that's going to compromise his exit coming out of Cascades, and indeed, he drops back to the tune of about a car length and a half as they make the run towards Island Bend.
And this Island Bend, this flick left is just a light lift for them, the drop of just 12 kilometers an hour before they hit the brakes properly, dropping down to just about 80 kilometers an hour, running through the banked hairpin then of Shell Oils. They'll run to the Britain chicane now, and ultimately Tom Daly has been a little bit closer than he has been in the past, but that is a really strong line from Kali Kavisto. It opens up about a 1/2 car length up over the hilltop, which is the last great place you'd feel to get the move done. You have to be really, really switched on now to find an overtake. If you're Tom Daly, moving through the Hislop chicane, through the barriers now, and over towards Knickerbrook Corner.
He's going to try to get the run here out of Knickerbrook, but it looks like Cavisto knows he's coming. He's going to be holding on that line. Watch for a little bit of a defensive move, slightly defensive into Druids, and a massive defensive move from Cavisto going into Lodge. He does not want to lose this position in the final two corners.
He absolutely doesn't, and they both look inch perfect as they go through Druids. They will go under the Warwick Bridge. Defensive line immediately taken by Cali Cavisto, but he thinks he's got that gap sorted. Daly is as late can be on the brakes, but they will drop down then the deer run for the final time. Cali Cavisto got pole position, had to fight hard to get that one back, but will take victory over Tom Daly in what was a beautiful masterclass between the top two in this race today. It will be a long wait for Jordan Svetanov in third, with Stephen Orrell here. The battle for fourth will just be able to hold off Xavi Lopez, who does send it into the corner, hoping, but in just that, it was only a hope in the final section of the track. Some great racing though here, DJ, and this is what the Sunday Drivers' Cup is all about.
Yes, it is. That side-to-side close action, a little bit of rubbing here and there in these Mazda MX-5s. Absolutely incredible stuff up and down the field, really treating us to some spectacular battles and even better racing here today.
Yeah, the last of the battles then going through. Timo Paya, who is doing well. And we haven't really talked about hard chargers. I think David Mitchell's going to take that one here today. He's up 11 spots from 24th to 13th position overall in this race, over a minute down. And that will be another crucial point for 1P in terms of the team's championship. So David Mitchell will cross the line, and it's another big point in terms of championship action there as they go through. Looks like troubles there for Bruno Albino on the last lap of the race. So for Bruno, his race over, and he will drop only 2 positions then at the end, because it looks like the car has completely let go on him there. But there is your winner, Cali Cavisto, with every bit of happiness to go along with it. We're going to step aside though for one moment with the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back with post-race coverage after this.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they got into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Global SimRacing Channel and to coverage here of your Sunday Drivers MX-5 Cup. Some great racing for the victory here today at a track which often brings close quarters combat into play. And what a victory for car number 1 here today. Cali Cavisto able to pick off the win in 26 minutes and 33 seconds. Was able to win by a margin of just a 1/10.5 in the end over the championship leader, Tom Daly. But crucially, it is a damage limitation style race from someone who knew that on 1 lap pace, Cavisto just had a little bit more. Jordan Svetanov finished off in 3rd, with Stephen Orrell in 4th position, able to take the position late over Xavi Lopez, who finished in 5th. James Austin managed to jump up into 6th with a gain of 5 places, along with Pedro Marimon, who finished off in 7th. Michael Ellett was able to get over the line in 8th, ahead of Alvaro Rodriguez, and rounding out the top 10 was Kalle Rantanen.
In 11th, it was Brett Ride, followed by Timo Pia there in 12th, with David Mitchell and Tim Lancaster in 14th. Arturo De Villa was 15th, followed by Stefan Alderding and Zendavara, rounding out your drivers to finish on the lead lap. Bruno Albino, Martin Smith, and Bart Verkerk, they're rounding out the top 20, those three a lap down.
Not a good day to be a Dutch driver. 16th, 17th, 19th, and 20th. And add 21st to that because Willem van Rassel ended up 5 laps down, getting caught in pretty much every accident under the sun today. Victor Oliveira found himself buried in the tyres over at Hislops. That meant that his day was done 9 laps from the end. And then 2 drivers who also struggled on the opening lap, Peter Reed and Sven Dallemans, both getting caught up in effectively the track blockage that was over at the Hislops section. So dramas up and down and all around. One thing, though, that did remain the same was a victory outright for car number 1, Kalle Kavisto, who joins us right now. Kalle, fastest in qualifying, got a really nice lap in, but it looked like Tom today wanted to test you and really show what racing was all about. It looked like you two were the 2 classes of the field, and how important was it for you to just find the right time to attack?
Well, that was the only time I was able to find a place to make a move, so I was happy that it worked. I was so disappointed myself when I lost my lead. You know, please, can someone tell me, like, what it is when you take a good start, you have a great 2-second margin, so then you think, like, this is the good time and start to make mistakes. I don't know, I was so disappointed myself, making a lot of small mistake that cost me a lead, but I'm very, very happy that I was able to get it back.
I believe we call that internalized pressure, but you did very well to come back and fight for that victory. And when Tom's been driving at the top of the championship in the form that he's had, for you, how important is it for rounds like this in a 20-round championship to take these advantages, these small gains, these small points haul gains that will bring you back towards the end of the season?
Yes, I definitely need to take more victories from now on, and I think it will even give me some kind of, confident boost, maybe. So, but today was a great battle, and I was just so happy to win Tom Daly today because he is a very talented driver, and if you can beat him, it means something, I guess.
And especially as well, knowing that you had that massive gap behind to the likes of Chabi and Stephen and the Jordanen. Did that really give you the license to go out there and be aggressive in the final stages?
Yes, absolutely. And I was hoping that Tom and who it was it Saria Lopez during the first lap 1, I was hoping that they would battle more against each other, so I would have been able to get away. But Tom was able to make a move very fast, and then he gets me. So. But yeah, it was like, sometimes you don't want to attack too fast. You want to build up a gap and then make 1 or 2 moves and hope that it works.
I believe a famous Australian politician once said, "I want to do you slowly," in regards to calling an election. But Kalle, a big victory. Who would you like to thank?
Well, you guys, as always, broadcasting the race, and if there was any audience, thanks for tuning in. And Sander organizing the league, and that's about it. Thank you.
No worries at all there. Kalle Kavisto joining us then here, getting a very big victory. Started first, finished first, everything that was wanted. DJ has managed to walk down the paddock virtually, and he has found the Irishman Tom Daly managing to take second.
Indeed, I have, Tom. A fantastic battle, and it seems like about the 8th time I've said that to you this season, but yet another great battle with Kalle Kavisto there.
Yeah, it was a great race, bumper to bumper, start to finish. Very, very fun. A lot of pressure.
Well, talk to me a little bit about getting up behind Kalle there, obviously sending that move in on the early stages of the laps. Were you hoping to pull away a little bit more? And how did your strategy sort of change when you saw that Kalle wasn't going to be backing off your rear wing as much?
Yeah, I was hoping to pull a gap, but Kalle, he's a great driver, so that didn't work out. I just tried to cover, protect my line, try and hit my marks. I made a mistake. He got up around me, and then I was just trying to make that ground back again. But Shadley started running out of laps at that stage, so took the second.
Well, obviously, you're still going to be walking out of here with the lead in the championship points. Going forward, I mean, are you going to be thinking about the championship a little bit more, or are you still just kind of focused on race to race?
Every race is next race, the race after. It's not going to be something that's going to be won anytime soon, I don't think. There's a lot to play for. And when drop rounds come into it, anything could happen.
Well, I know I'm very much looking forward to how the rest of the season is going to go. But as for today, a well-earned second place. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Just thank everyone in Wampy Motorsport and all friends and family watching at home.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom Daly. That was your second place finisher here. And now, Jake, I believe you have caught up with our third place finisher, Jordan Zvetanov.
I have found a Jordanin here with us out then here today. And Jordanin, really a race where the top two were able to break away. It seemed absolutely hectic in the middle of the pack. And once that lap 3 incident came into play, it looked like you had that opportunity just to think about, okay, only one car to really fight against.
Hello, guys. Yes, I was. I bought out my quali. I have more pace. Probably. I think if I get time that I did in the practice, probably I will get a pole. But yeah, I bottled it really hard, and then it was hard battle, and I was stuck behind P3, P4, P5, and yeah, Kalle and Tom pull up really fast.
Let's talk about the incident you had with Xabi Lopez. It sort of seemed to us from our position that you tried to work your way to the outside, to the inside of the Cascades. And basically you had an overlap there and Xabi sort of moved across to try and cover the move.
Yeah. His defense move was really late. But he did this couple times before. And I was prepared, so I lifted instantly. And if I didn't lift there, we'll probably crash really hard. So yeah, his move was really late, but yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I get P3, so I'm happy.
Absolutely. You get P3, you're very happy. Moving on, 8 rounds left in the championship. Are you looking to try and consolidate your position in the championship, move up, maybe fight your way up and try and get as much as you can? Because it looked like, once again, Stefan Olderding had a really bad race here this week.
Yep. My strategy is to play safe because of this. So that's why I drive behind Xavi so long, because I did not want to risk it. Because I'm thinking about general standing. I had really bad first 6 or 7 rounds, and I have no more mistakes to make. I really have to be top.
Have to be on top form. But before we let you go here, Jordanin, who gets it done, not only for you, but the team at Kinda Sus Racing?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't.
Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank you guys. So is Sander and the guys in the league. Really good guys. So that's it.
That's it indeed. Jordanin Zvetanov picking up a really good third place finish then here today. And DJ, just some final thoughts here as we bring proceedings to a close here from Oulton Park in Cheshire. A wonderful race here in the Sunday Drivers' Cup between two incredible talents up at the front of the field.
And it is a battle that we have been privy to all season long. Always incredible to see Kavisto and Daly absolutely duking it out. And kind of as you heard Tom say, I don't think this is any way over. I think we're going to see these two battle right until the bitter end of this 20-round championship.
And this 20-round championship will find itself all coverage here on the Global SimRacing Channel. So if you haven't had the chance to already, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, you can do all those wonderful things that gets you up together with us at the Global SimRacing Channel. A massive thanks has to go to all the hardware and software that has been used by us here today to get ourselves in for amazing racing, and especially to June Lalonde. Her music is what you've been able to hear today over our broadcast, so make sure you check out the link in the description to make sure that she gets a lot of help and credit with her musical work. On top of that, we got some amazing racing coming up in the future. Porsche Owners Club is heading to Sonoma. That's just one of the many amazing things that's happening over the week. You can see that roll on your screen. Mark it down in your calendar if you have not already. And also make sure that you check out our social media platforms as well as our store at gsrc.storenvy.com. Make sure you get yourself some brilliant sim racing merch over there with us. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.